A young black boy just trying to earn a few dollars on a hot summer day, selling bottled water to help his struggling mom. But instead of kindness, he gets the police called on him. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Just 10 minutes later, the woman who tried to ruin his day gets a dose of karma she never saw coming. This story will break your heart, make you smile, and remind you why you should never judge someone by how they look or where they stand. Before we dive in, tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful story like this one. Alright, let's get into it. The sun was already fierce by mid-morning, the kind of Georgia heat that made the asphalt shimmer and the air feel thick enough to drink. On the corner of Pinewood and 3rd Avenue, 12-year-old Malik Johnson stood with a small red cooler beside him, a hand-painted sign propped up on an overturned crate. Every few minutes, he lifted the lid of the cooler, pulling out a bottle to wipe off the condensation before holding it up to passing cars. "Cold water. Just $1, he called, his voice cracking a little but full of determination. Malik was small for his age, skin the color of polished mahogany, bright brown eyes, and a smile that seemed to fight through the sweat on his forehead. He'd been standing out there since 10 in the morning, waving politely at every driver who looked his way. Some smiled back, others rolled their windows up. But a few kind souls stopped. Construction workers, delivery drivers, and moms with toddlers in car seats. Each time someone handed him $1, Malik said, "Thank you, sir. God bless you," and placed the bill neatly into a coffee tin beside his feet. It wasn't just about selling water. It was about hope. The night before, Malik had overheard his mother, Tasha, crying quietly in the kitchen. She thought he was asleep, but he'd crept to the doorway and listened. "Rent's due Friday," she whispered over the phone. "I'm doing everything I can, but the second job doesn't start till next month." Her voice trembled with exhaustion. Tasha worked as a hotel housekeeper by day and cleaned offices at night. She'd raised Malik alone since his father left 5 years ago. That night, Malik sat on his bed, thinking hard. His eyes landed on an empty water bottle on his desk. He had an idea, simple but from the heart. He took $10 he'd saved from doing yard work for neighbors, went to the corner store, and bought a bag of ice and 2 packs of bottled water. He wanted to surprise his mom with something she hadn't had in a long time, a birthday gift. Maybe a small gold necklace she once admired in the pawn shop window. Maybe just a day where she didn't have to worry. Now, standing under the blazing sun, Malik felt sweat rolling down his back, but he didn't care. "Cold water. $1, he shouted again, waving his arm as a silver sedan slowed down. A woman in her 50s rolled down her window. "How much, sweetie?" $1, ma'am. She smiled. "You're out here working hard. Give me 3 bottles." Malik handed them over, took the 3 crumpled bills, and grinned. "Thank you, ma'am. You have a blessed day." The woman laughed as she drove away. He glanced down at the tin. He'd made $12 so far. It wasn't much, but to him, it was everything. He could already imagine the look on his mother's face when he gave her the gift. That thought alone kept him going. But across the street, behind a white picket fence, someone else had been watching for a while, and her expression wasn't one of pride or admiration. It was one of disapproval. From her neatly trimmed front yard, Karen Whitmore adjusted her sunglasses and frowned. She was watering her flowers, but her attention had been fixed on Malik for the past 15 minutes. In her eyes, he didn't look like a boy chasing dreams. He looked like someone up to something. She muttered under her breath, "Don't his parents have anything better for him to do than loiter around?" Her neighbors had worked hard to clean up this block. To Karen, that meant keeping it quiet, tidy, and free from unlicensed activities. When a car stopped for Malik, she shook her head. "This is getting ridiculous," she said, picking up her phone. She snapped a picture from across the street. Malik didn't even notice. As she opened her contacts and hovered over non-emergency police line, she sighed dramatically. "I'm doing what's best for the neighborhood," she whispered to herself. But across the street, a young boy was just trying to change his mother's life, one cold bottle of water at a time. Karen Whitmore placed her watering can on the porch rail and wiped her hands with a towel as she continued glaring at Malik. The boy hadn't done anything wrong. He wasn't blocking traffic, wasn't shouting loudly, wasn't disturbing anyone. But Karen's mind turned small, harmless things into problems. Her thoughts ran wild. What if he attracts more kids? What if people start hanging around the corner? What if my neighborhood loses its order? She convinced herself she was just maintaining peace. Karen grabbed her smartphone and dialed the non-emergency police line, adjusting her voice to sound calm and composed, the way she did when she wanted to seem respectable. "Non-emergency, Atlanta Police Department. How can we help you?" "Yes," Karen began, pretending to sound worried. "I'm calling about a young boy, maybe 12 years old, standing alone at the corner of Pinewood and 3rd. He's been there for quite a while, selling something to passing cars. I'm just concerned." "Concerned for his safety or for any disturbance?" the operator asked. "Well, both," she replied quickly. "It just doesn't seem right. I don't know where his parents are, and he's interacting with drivers. It could be unsafe for everyone." The operator sighed softly. "All right, ma'am. We'll send a patrol car to check on it." Karen smiled, satisfied. "Thank you. I just want to keep the neighborhood safe." She ended the call and turned to her reflection in the window, smoothing her blouse. To her, she wasn't being cruel, she was being responsible. But to Malik, whose only goal was to help his mother, her call would soon change everything. Malik had just sold another bottle when the sound of sirens broke through the street. He turned, puzzled, as 2 police cars slowly pulled up near the curb. The flashing lights painted the warm asphalt in red and blue. "Whoa," Malik whispered, confused. "Did something happen?" He looked around. No one else was nearby. His stomach sank as the officers stepped out and approached him. One officer, a tall white man with kind eyes, spoke first. "Hey, kid. Everything okay here?" Malik nodded nervously. "Yes, sir. I'm just selling water." The second officer, a woman with a notebook in her hand, glanced at his cooler and sign. "Do you have a permit to sell?" Malik blinked. What?" Before he could say more, Karen crossed the street, clutching her phone like a badge of honor. "Officers, I'm the one who called," she announced. Her tone was calm, almost proud. "He's been standing here for hours. I wasn't sure if he was supervised or if he belonged in this area." Malik's face fell. He didn't know who she was, but her eyes made him feel small, like he'd done something terrible. The taller officer turned to her politely. "Ma'am, he's not causing any disturbance. He's just selling water." "Well," Karen replied, "this is a private neighborhood. We can't have people just setting up stands. There are rules." Malik swallowed hard. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I wasn't bothering anyone. I was just trying to." The officer held up a hand. "It's okay, son. Don't be afraid." But Malik could feel tears forming in his eyes. He thought of his mother and how disappointed she'd be if the police called her. Karen folded her arms, lips tight. "You're teaching him it's fine to break rules. That's how things start falling apart." Before the officers could respond, a sleek black SUV pulled up nearby. The driver parked, stepped out, and walked toward them. He was a tall black man in his early 30s, dressed sharply in a tailored navy blue suit. His watch caught the sunlight, but it was his confidence that drew attention. "Is there a problem here?" he asked calmly. The officers turned to him. "No, sir. We're just making sure everything's okay. The lady here called about the boy." The man looked down at Malik, who was wiping his eyes, then back at Karen. "Funny," he said softly. "I was just about to buy a bottle from this young man. Didn't realize entrepreneurship was a crime now." Karen stiffened. "Excuse me." He ignored her and crouched beside Malik. "Hey, champ. You doing this all by yourself?" Malik nodded, hesitant. "Yes, sir. I'm just trying to make some money to help my mom." The man smiled. "That's what I like to hear." He pulled out a $20 bill and placed it in the tin. "Keep the change." Malik's eyes widened. "Thank you." Then the man stood, turned toward the officers, and said, "If anything, we should be supporting kids like him, not calling the cops." The taller officer nodded in agreement. "Yes, sir. We'll wrap this up." Karen's face flushed. "Are you serious? He's standing here without permission." The man turned to her, his tone calm but firm. "Ma'am, sometimes you don't need permission to do something good. You just need a reason." For the first time, Karen was speechless. The officers exchanged glances. "All right, ma'am," the female officer said evenly. "There's no violation here. Let's move on." They stepped back toward their patrol cars. Malik stood frozen, relief washing over him. "Thank you, sir," he whispered to the stranger. The man smiled warmly. "No problem, kid. My name's Marcus Taylor. I like helping people who remind me of myself." As they walked away from the flashing lights, Karen stood on the curb, jaw tight, seething. She didn't know it yet, but karma had already started her countdown. The sound of the police radios faded as both officers stood by, watching the scene unfold. The air felt heavy, not just from the heat, but from the invisible line drawn between judgment and understanding. Malik stood silently beside his cooler, his small fingers gripping the plastic handle so tightly that his knuckles turned pale. He didn't know if he should pack up or stay. The taller officer cleared his throat. "Son, you said you're just selling water?" "Yes, sir," Malik replied softly. "It's just water. I bought it myself this morning." The female officer crouched a bit, her tone gentler now. "Why are you out here, sweetheart? Where are your parents?" "My mom's at work," Malik said. "She doesn't know I'm out here. I just wanted to help her. It's her birthday soon." For a moment, her expression softened. But before she could respond, Karen stepped forward, her voice cutting through the warmth like a blade. "See," she said, gesturing toward Malik. "That's exactly the problem. He's unsupervised. Anything could happen to him out here. I called because I care." Marcus turned slowly toward her. "Care," he repeated quietly. "You called the police on a child for selling water. That's not care. That's control." Karen scoffed. "Excuse me, sir, but you don't live here. This is a private neighborhood. We have standards." Marcus tilted his head slightly. "Standards? Like stopping kids from learning what hard work looks like." Her voice grew sharper. "He's breaking the law. You can't just let anyone sell things without a license. That's what permits are for." Marcus smiled faintly. "You ever ask kids selling lemonade for a permit?" Karen blinked, flustered. "That's different." "How?" Marcus pressed. Because they look different. Her face turned red. Don't twist my words. But the truth hung in the air like thick smoke, and everyone could feel it. The taller officer sighed and took a small step backward. He had seen this scene too many times, someone calling the police not because of danger, but because of discomfort. "Ma'am," he said gently, "this young man isn't doing anything wrong. We checked the local ordinances. Selling bottled water like this isn't a violation." Karen's voice trembled. "But he doesn't belong out here. Look around. This is a quiet, family neighborhood." Marcus's expression hardened. "And what do you think he's doing? He is family. He's someone's son." Malik looked between them, unsure whether to speak. His heart thudded against his chest. "I'm sorry," he whispered suddenly. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Marcus placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You didn't, son. You just showed people what determination looks like." The officers exchanged a final glance and nodded. "We'll let you two be," the female officer said kindly. "Ma'am, unless there's an actual disturbance, there's no reason for us to stay." And just like that, they turned back toward their patrol cars. Karen stood frozen, watching the officers leave. The humiliation hit her harder than the sun's heat. She had called for order and ended up being the only one out of line. As Marcus helped Malik close his cooler, she crossed her arms tightly. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. "If people like you keep bending the rules, no one will respect authority anymore." Marcus looked up slowly, his tone calm but firm. "Ma'am, respect isn't demanded, it's earned. Maybe if people showed this boy a little kindness, he'd remember it for life." Karen glared at him, speechless. "You should thank him," Marcus added. "He's out here working instead of causing trouble. That's something the world needs more of." Karen opened her mouth, then closed it again. She wanted to argue, but something about the man's calm confidence left her feeling smaller than she'd like to admit. Malik tugged gently at Marcus's sleeve. "It's okay, sir. I can just go home." Marcus smiled. "No, kid. You stay right here. I think your shift just ended early, on a good note." He turned to Karen once more. "Enjoy your day, ma'am. And maybe next time you see a kid trying to do something good, let him." Then he nodded politely and guided Malik toward his SUV. Karen stood on the curb, watching them drive away, her chest tight with anger she couldn't explain. She muttered under her breath, "Unbelievable. First they break rules, then they make me look like the bad guy." But somewhere deep inside, a tiny voice whispered that she might be exactly that. In the SUV, Malik sat quietly, staring out the window. "I really thought I was in trouble," he said softly. Marcus glanced at him. "You did nothing wrong. You were working for something good. That's what matters." Malik hesitated. "Why'd you help me, sir? You don't even know me." Marcus smiled. "Because once upon a time, someone helped me when nobody else would. Now it's my turn." Malik looked at him curiously. "You got in trouble too?" Marcus laughed lightly. "Let's just say I've been in your shoes before. You keep that spirit, Malik. The world needs more kids like you." Malik's lips curved into a small smile. He didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning of something far bigger than a cooler of bottled water. The next morning, the heat had returned like clockwork. Cicadas buzzed in the trees, and Malik sat on the same corner, cooler freshly packed, his determination undimmed. He had thought about quitting after yesterday's incident. But when he woke up, his mother was humming in the kitchen, completely unaware of what had happened. He couldn't bring himself to tell her. So he packed his cooler again and went right back out, because that's what his mom had taught him: when life gets hard, keep showing up. Half an hour later, a familiar black SUV pulled up. Marcus Taylor stepped out, holding 2 cups of coffee and a paper bag. "You didn't think I'd let you sell water alone again, did you?" he said with a smile. Malik's face lit up. "You came back." "Of course," Marcus said, handing him a sandwich. "Breakfast first, business later." As they ate on the curb, Marcus asked, "You ever thought about doing this on a bigger scale?" Malik shrugged. "I don't know how." Marcus chuckled. "That's why you need a mentor." He didn't say it aloud yet, but he was already forming an idea: a summer youth project for kids who wanted to learn entrepreneurship. Malik would be the first name on the list. Across the street, curtains shifted in Karen's window. She froze when she recognized the man from the day before, now sitting with that same boy, laughing like they'd known each other for years. By noon, Marcus suggested grabbing lunch. "Come on, I'll treat you to something better than a gas station sandwich." Malik nodded eagerly, and they walked 2 blocks down to Pinewood Cafe, a cozy spot with air conditioning and the smell of roasted coffee beans. Neither of them knew this was the cafe where Karen worked as a part-time manager. When they stepped inside, Karen nearly dropped the stack of menus she was holding. Her stomach twisted in disbelief. "Him? Here? With that kid?" Marcus approached the counter. "Hi there, could we get 2 chicken sandwiches and a couple of cold drinks?" Karen straightened, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm sorry, we're actually, closed for cleaning." Malik frowned. "But the sign says open." Before Marcus could respond, a middle-aged man walked out from the kitchen. "Karen, what's this?" It was Mr. Dalton, the cafe owner. She stammered. "Oh, I thought, we needed to clean before the lunch rush." Mr. Dalton frowned. "Karen, it's 11:45. Lunch rush is the reason we're open." He turned to Marcus. "My apologies, sir. Please, have a seat. I'll take care of you myself." Karen's eyes widened as the man continued, "And thank you again, Mr. Taylor, for investing in this place. We wouldn't be open without you." Marcus smiled politely. "Glad to see the place thriving." Karen felt her knees weaken. The man she'd called the police on was one of her boss's investors. Marcus and Malik sat at a corner table, laughing between bites of their sandwiches. Malik was still shy but starting to relax. Karen hovered nearby, trying to avoid their eyes. Every time Marcus glanced up, she busied herself with napkins or the register. But her mind raced. "Investor? Him? How could I have known?" Mr. Dalton walked over with 2 lemonades. "Marcus, I saw that clip online. You helping that boy after the police showed up. People are sharing it everywhere." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Online? Oh, yeah," Dalton continued. "Somebody recorded the whole thing from across the street. Folks are calling it Water Bottle Boy. It's gone viral." Karen's throat went dry. Malik blinked. "Wait, people saw that?" Marcus smiled at him. "Looks like you're famous now, champ." Karen backed away, her heart pounding. She opened her phone, and there it was, a viral clip on local news sites showing her face, clearly visible, arms crossed, scowling at Malik while police lights flashed behind her. The caption read, "Woman calls cops on black kid selling water. Stranger steps in." Thousands of angry comments followed. Her hands trembled as she locked the screen and forced herself to keep working. When their meal ended, Marcus walked to the counter to pay, smiling politely. Thanks again for the great service. Mr. Dalton nodded. Any time, sir. Marcus turned to Karen. Karen, right? She froze. Yes, sir. I appreciate your concern for the neighborhood, he said gently. But sometimes doing the right thing means letting others try. That boy's got more drive than most adults I know. His tone wasn't cruel, but it stung more than yelling ever could. As he left, Mr. Dalton turned to her, expression hardening. Karen, we need to talk. Her voice quivered. About what? He sighed. About professionalism and compassion. You embarrassed this cafe. Take the rest of the week off. We'll review your position Monday. Karen stared after him, stunned. Wait, But he was already gone. In less than 10 minutes, karma had struck. Karen sat alone on the curb after her shift, scrolling through social media, hoping the storm would fade. But it was growing. Her friends had stopped replying to her texts. Her manager hadn't called her back. And her name was trending locally, for all the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, Malik's story spread like wildfire. A local news crew showed up at Marcus's beverage warehouse 2 days later. Cameras flashed as Marcus stood proudly beside Malik, who wore a bright green polo shirt and a shy smile. This young man represents the future, Marcus said during the interview. He saw a problem, found a solution, and worked hard. That's entrepreneurship at its purest form. The reporter turned to Malik. What did you think when the police showed up? Malik looked down. I was scared. But then Mr. Marcus showed me that sometimes good people step up when bad things happen. Karen watched the interview from her couch, tears streaming down her face. The same boy she had judged now stood as a local hero. That evening, Marcus called a press conference to announce something new. Fresh Flow Youth Initiative, a summer mentorship program for kids with business ideas. He named the first recruit on camera, Malik Johnson. Applause erupted. Karen turned off the TV and buried her face in her hands. She had wanted peace and quiet, and ended up as the villain in everyone's story. Weeks passed. Malik visited the Fresh Flow warehouse every morning. Marcus taught him how to track sales, design a label, and manage customers. He even gave Malik a new cooler, this one printed with a sleek logo that read, Malik's Cool Water, Hustle with Heart. Soon, Marcus helped him set up a small stand near the community park. People came not just to buy water, but to meet the boy who'd turned negativity into purpose. Meanwhile, Karen had lost her job permanently. The cafe didn't want the bad publicity. For a while, she isolated herself, avoiding stares at the grocery store and whispers from neighbors. But guilt has a way of changing hearts. She began volunteering at a local youth outreach center, helping teens fill out job applications and resumes. For the first time, she listened, really listened, to their stories. One afternoon, while wiping tables at the center, she saw a flyer pinned to the bulletin board. Fresh Flow Annual Community Fair, special guest, Malik Johnson. She stared at it for a long time, then quietly circled the date. The day of the fair arrived, warm and bright. The park buzzed with laughter and the smell of food trucks. At the main tent, Malik stood behind a table filled with bottles of his brand, smiling, confident, and happy. Marcus stood beside him, proud like a big brother. Can you believe this all started with one cooler? Marcus said, chuckling. Malik grinned. And one angry lady. They both laughed. Then Marcus noticed someone standing a few feet away, a woman in a pale blue dress, holding a donation envelope. It was Karen. She looked nervous but determined. Slowly, she approached Malik's table. Hi, Malik, she said softly. He looked up and recognized her instantly, the woman from the corner, the one who'd called the police. Karen swallowed hard. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I judged you without knowing your story. And I've learned a lot since that day. Malik stared at her for a moment, then smiled. It's okay, ma'am. You actually helped me more than you know. Her eyes widened. Helped you? He nodded. If that day hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here. Sometimes bad things turn into blessings. Tears welled in Karen's eyes. You're a better person than I was that day. Malik laughed gently. We all have bad days. What matters is what we do after. Karen handed him the envelope. Inside was a $500 donation to the youth initiative. I hope this helps another kid like you, she whispered. Marcus, watching from a distance, smiled proudly. As the sun set over the fairgrounds, Malik stood on the stage with a microphone in hand. Last summer, he began, I just wanted to make my mom proud. I didn't think anyone would notice. But sometimes, life surprises you, even when people try to stop you. So to every kid out there, don't let anyone's opinion stop your hustle. Keep working. Keep dreaming. The crowd erupted in applause. Karen clapped too, tears streaming down her cheeks. Karma had done its work, not as punishment, but as transformation. Because sometimes, life doesn't wait years to teach a lesson. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes. Never look down on someone trying to make an honest living. Judgment might be quick, but karma is quicker. And sometimes, the people we underestimate are the very ones who remind us what humanity truly means. If this story touched your heart, drop her in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more life-changing stories that'll remind you, kindness always wins.